or something. And this whole thing about the dollar potentially losing its top spot, it's been brewing for ages.
Yeah, it reminds me of what was it, the whole petrodollar thing.
Hmm.
I remember that being a big deal. It's a little foggy, though, what it all meant. Maybe you can, give us a little refresher.
For sure. The petrodollar thing, it basically started when the US dollar went off the gold standard back in the 70s. What
Mhm.
happened was the US made agreements, big ones, with these oil producing countries, a lot through OPEC. And it meant that all the buying and selling of oil globally had to be done using US dollars.
Oh, right. So everyone needed dollars just to buy oil.
Exactly. Huge demand all the time. And that demand, well, it gave the US a lot of economic power.
Yeah, if you control the world oil, you control, well, a lot.
It meant that U.S. economic policy, even things like changes in interest rates or inflation, they had a ripple effect across the globe because so many countries were tied into this system by holding large dollar reserves.
Makes sense. So then, what's different now? Why is this blog post saying the dollar might be on its way out?
Well, the world's not the same as it was back then. I mean, think about it. China now, economic powerhouse, and their piece of global trade, way bigger than a few decades ago. The whole global economy is not as U.S. centered.
Right. And that's where, like, the BRICS countries come in, right? I know they've been trying to move away from the dollar.
Exactly. And the blog post really gets into this. BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, they're all looking for ways to not depend on the dollar so much, especially for trading. China wants to use their currency, the yuan, more for oil. There's even talk about them making a whole new BRICS payment system. Can you imagine? An alternative to SWIFT.
Wow, their own system.
Yeah.
So it's more than just, giving the U.S. a hard time.
Mhm.
It's strategic.
Exactly. It's about having options, having leverage. The dollar share of global reserves, it's actually been dropping for a while. Like 20 years ago, it was around 70%, and now it's down to just under 60%.
So what does that mean if the dollar keeps losing ground? What happens? Will it just, like, crash?
That's a big question. And the author of this article, he really stresses this. It's not going to be an overnight thing. Your dollars in your wallet aren't going to be worthless tomorrow. No economic apocalypse.
Okay, that's a relief. So no need to start stockpiling canned goods just yet.
Not quite, but even if it's gradual, there will be changes, big ones, inflation, interest rates on loans, things like that. Even the cost of, everyday things, groceries, gas, it'll all be affected as the global financial system adjusts.
It really makes you think. If the dollar isn't calling the shots, what will the world even look like? I mean, just trying to picture it.
And that's the thing, it brings up so many questions. Will the euro or the yuan become the new top dog? Will we see a bunch of different currencies all being important, sort of a multipolar world for money? And what about global financial stability? It's definitely something to keep an eye on.